Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we talk. Is Erik ten Hag going to face a January transfer frustration due to financial fair play, which will force him away from signing his number one January transfer target, Cody Gakpo, and force him into a loan deal that he may not want? Lots to discuss tonight. It's lovely to be back doing an 8 o'clock show as well. So get your questions in. We'll go interactive as well. Also, a very interesting story on Joao Felix coming from the Evening Standard, the London Evening Standard, in relation to Manchester United. So very, very interested to talk about that. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Just finishing my beer. So didn't want to be drinking that on the actual show. But how are we all doing? Hope you're all doing very, very well. 8 p.m. shows are back. It's great to be back as well. So, look, let's start off with this story. So, where did it come from? Well, it pricked my ears up yesterday. I was listening to a clip on Twitter from a Sky Sports reporter who was saying that there's a significant chance that United won't sign anybody in January because they're very wary of financial fair play rules. Now, some of you might understand financial fair play. Personally, I don't think it exists. I think it's a little bit like the Tooth Fairy. I think everyone's heard of it, but I don't think it actually exists in reality, because who's ever fell foul of financial fair play in the Premier League and been punished properly? So for one, I don't think it exists. And I would actually say that the cynic in me would say that, Man United mentioning financial fair play is just a way to not spend money. But look, the reality is that United may not want to spend money in January, but would it be because of financial fair play? Well, let's dissect that, because if you want to buy Cody Gakpo for 50 million quid, then that would be added to your summer transfer fee over the financial year. So it would push you to about 250 million quid, wouldn't it? Now, Dara's gutted. He says the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist. Yeah, unfortunately not. So, I think that there's a fair few bits for us to get our teeth into here. And could that be why United are forced into a loan deal? And could that push them towards Joao Felix over Cody Gakpo, because there might be a loan to buy deal there? Could United's January transfer activity be dictated to by the limitations of financial fair play? And the honest answer is, unless you absolutely understand what financial fair play is, then you can't really answer this question, because this was on Sky Sports yesterday, that United are very wary and concerned about financial fair play, and that might be why they don't spend any money in January. But the financial fair play rules are about to change as well. UEFA want to change them. So why would you be worried about rules that are going to become obsolete? And Simon says that his 8-year-old is watching about the Tooth Fairy. Well, financial fair play exists. Klopp believes in the Tooth Fairy, says Fletch. So yeah, back on point. Erik ten Hag's number one January transfer target is Cody Gakpo. It's not a badly kept secret. He wanted him in August. We didn't get him. He wants him in January. Will we get him? And the honest answer is, I think we should just do it. My understanding of financial fair play, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding of financial fair play is that it's based on your last 3 years' revenue, taking away transfers and wages, and not including payments on youth and infrastructure for stadia. So, correct me if I'm wrong, United's revenue this year was 600 million and last year was 500 million. And I think that we normally make a profit of about 100 million each year. So I just don't understand financial fair play. We are one of the clubs that actually makes a shitload of money from match day receipts and genuine revenue. So how could we ever fall foul of financial fair play? I don't get it. We did spend £200 million in the summer. No one can deny that, and we sold nobody, so we can't balance that up. Put some respect on Ronaldo's name, says Sim. But the previous summer we spent about 140 million on Sancho, Varane, and Ronaldo. The summer before that, I think we spent about 80 million. So our net spends are normally, before this season, around about 50 to 100 million quid. So I don't even understand how we could fall foul of financial fair play. That's the one summer where we've actually spent a shitload of money, £200 million. Like, we don't normally spend that amount. So I can't see that buying Gakpo in January is going to really cause us financial woes. I think we are a football club that's set up to, fall foul of financial fair play. I do, but wages are not really an issue. Threefold path. I mean, they are an issue, but they're not an issue, if you know what I mean, in relation to financial fair play. Dozen says he pulled the story out of his arse. Yeah. I mean, look, it was on Sky, and I think you do need to sort of react to it. And I wish I could give you more detailed, concrete, batting it out the park. But I to understand financial fair play is to be unique anyway. But effectively, financial fair play is based on your last 3 years, and you've got to break even. Well, we do break even. We make a profit. We do make a profit. Manchester United do make profits. And debt repayments and everything like that are not included. It's basically revenue from match tickets and sponsors against transfers and wages. So we don't even have to include the debt repayments that we do because of the Glazers. So I don't see how United fall foul of financial fair play by buying Cody Gakpo in January. I really don't. It might be something for us to consider if we get rich owners in, but we are the identikit of what UEFA, the Premier League and FIFA want. They want clubs to be like Manchester United. They want clubs to be able to live off what they grow. I can't see a scenario where United spend £200 million in the summer so they can't buy anyone in January because of financial fair play. I just can't, unless I'm missing something obvious. And I've spent time looking at it, as I'm sure many of you have, because yesterday I was going to do the video at 2 o'clock, but then they were doing one in the studio, so I thought, I'll mention it on the 8 o'clock show. But I absolutely cannot find any bit of evidence that means that United can't buy anyone in January because we spent £200 million in the summer. It's based over 3 years, and we always moan about the fact that we don't necessarily spend as much as we can do. And Manchester City have, Man City spend a lot of money. I just, and also we've got massive revenues. It doesn't make sense to me. Newcastle will do it very well, just Keevan. I think Newcastle will do it very, very well. But I'm with Red. I don't see how we can break financial fair play rules. And if we broke it, everyone else must have no chance because no one makes the revenue that we make anyway. I think it's a problem that might be a problem for ours in the future if we don't get in the Champions League and we start not having sponsors lined up. But no, I absolutely just think it was. I don't know who mentioned it to the Sky Sports reporter. He certainly didn't back it up with any knowledge or evidence. I don't think you can say United aren't spending in January because they're worried about financial fair play and not back it up. And it's not backed up. And it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I saw an article about a year ago that broke it down quite well because Spurs haven't spent much, but they've made a lot of money. So they could technically spend 400 million. I mean, they haven't got 400 million to spend, but that's how financial fair play works. It's against your legitimate revenue and your spend. So if you're a club that makes a lot, is run well and doesn't spend money, then you could legitimately spend hundreds of millions of pounds. You haven't got the money to spend it, but that's how financial fair play works. If you don't sign players but you make money, you end up with this surplus of what you can spend. Basically, if I ran Everton and we had a really good sponsor and we had really good season ticket sales, but I never bought anybody over 3 years, then we would probably have a buffer of whatever our revenue was from season ticket sales and say we made £100 million every year from season ticket sales and revenue and sponsors, but I never spent anything. Over 3 years, never spent anything, but made £100 million a year, I'd be able to spend 300 million because I haven't spent any of my allocation. Doesn't mean I've got 300 million, it just means I can spend 300 million. That's the idiocy of financial fair play because it doesn't take into account unique situations. I agree that there should be something in place, but we make loads of money and we spend a lot of money. I don't see how we're going to fall foul of financial fair play, and I think it's a silly idea to think that United aren't going to spend money in January. And also, as Stephen says, financial fair play is a joke. Man City got a slap on the wrist. I'll take that. Also, why would a club buy Man United if they are potentially going to fall foul of financial fair play? What's the point in investment? Sim says we just need some ownership for love of the club, and we don't sell well, Splashnet. I agree with that. But look, anyway, let me bring it back to Cody Gakpo, because there was a story in the Evening Standard today from a journalist who is probably very Chelsea orientated. And what he was talking about, and he said it in his article, is that Chelsea have been offered Joao Felix and a couple of other players and Nkunku and all this, that and the other. But it said in his article, Manchester United are ready to counter any bid for Joao Felix. Now, I always am quite interested when I read those sort of stories that are from people that are good journalists around a different club, but references for a player they want. And I do wonder whether we are in or out the Joao Felix race. I think Arsenal fans think they're in it. Obviously, Chelsea fans might think they're in it now. I don't think as United fans we've ever really attached ourselves to Joao Felix in a serious way. But, I mean, you know, I think in the same report from the Sky Sports reporter, was it Darmesh? I think it was Darmesh who did it. There was reference to United might have to look at loan deals. Well, Joao Felix could be a loan to buy deal, and you could buy him in the summer, and then you're into another financial year anyway. Remember, it's what you spend each year. So if United don't spend any money in January, they'll only have what they spent in the summer attached to that full year. It's about how you it's accounting, isn't it? But basically, at the end of the day, so we could do a loan deal for Joao Felix and then buy him in the summer. So maybe we'd look at that. What I hope isn't going to happen here, and I have said it a few times, what I hope isn't happening here is a bit of a smokescreen. You know, we don't want to spend any money in January. Let's mention financial fair play and get Memphis Depay in, and that to me is not going to help Erik ten Hag. Anthony Stephen Heath says that Arsenal are looking at both Gakpo and Joao Felix. Well, Arsenal spent a bit of money in the summer as well, didn't they? You know, Arsenal. How much have Arsenal spent in the last 2 years? I mean, if we're going to get into a financial fair play conversation, how much have Arsenal spent in the last couple of years? Because they have spent quite a lot. Last year alone, United made 500 million, but still had 115 million loss, says Clinton. I can't see Man United buying anybody in January, says Lille's United. And new owners pull up with Ranić as director of football, says Thapello. What happened to the green screen, says Hassan. Mate, you need to watch the shows every night. I'm not going to start talking about that when we're in the middle of something quite decent. Arsenal are apparently close on financial fair play as well, says Threefold Path. What about Chelsea? Chelsea's situation, we're turning this into a financial fair play conversation now, but Chelsea were actually quite good in financial fair play, because remember, it's done on a 3-year rolling period, and in the last 3 years Chelsea had a transfer ban where they didn't spend anything, so their allocation went up again. And also, Chelsea are very good at selling. Chelsea are very good at selling. I mean, God, remember when they sold David Luiz for like 60 million to PSG? I do not think that Smutty. I know you're a mod, but you're going into timeout. Sorry, I don't know why you're saying stupid stuff like that. You clearly don't watch the show much either. No, they aren't. There is no club in advanced talks with Felix yet, says Keith Clark. And Mark, thoughts on the Chelsea transfer? I don't know. I'm not talking about Chelsea. You know what? UEFA needs to chill before the Super League starts. Look real good. And let's get back to the chat about new ownership, says Andy Oates. Well, I'm more than happy to talk about what you want to talk about, but the January transfer window is literally 16 days away. It's 2 and a bit weeks away. Like that's where we are. 2 weeks and 2 days. The January transfer window opens. I think it's a very relevant point. The sale of the football club is probably 3, 4, 5 months away and won't impact us until maybe next summer if we're lucky, maybe beyond that. We have to be talking about the January transfer window. I know the World Cup has sort of numbed people. Alan Noonan says there's different rules for others like City. Well, at the best, Smutty will be back, don't worry. That's what Smutty got, and that's what Man City got. Slap on the wrist. There's nothing there's nothing significant about these financial fair play things, and I don't think United should worry about it. I also think that you've got to get creative. You've got to get creative. And you know what pisses me off, actually? When I was researching this tonight, I was like, if financial fair play, and I think this just ends the argument, actually, and we will talk about the ownership next. But this ends the argument. If Man United don't want to buy players in January because they're worried about financial fair play, why did they spend 30 million quid more than they should have done on Anthony? Mic drop. Like, why would you do that? Why, when a manager is starting a rebuild, would you use your allocation up by overspending on players? That, to me, just doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Why would you overspend by such a huge amount of money when you know that it's going to impact what you can spend in January? It doesn't make any sense. And that, to me, is why I just do not believe that United are restricted by financial fair play. Because we overpaid on numerous players in the summer. So we were always going to need to buy in January. The Ronaldo issue was always going to be an issue. The right-back issue was always going to be an issue. So any intelligent, and I suppose it's the problem, any intelligent football club that's run well around recruitment would know we need a 50 million, 60 million buffer in January in case things go wrong. I mean, put it like this, right? If you know you can only spend £200 million in the next year, why would you spend it all in the summer? And this is why I don't believe United are in any danger in relation to financial fair play. And Catherine says they're competent, we know this. But if you're running a football club, Catherine, and it's Ten Hag's first year, and you know you can't get everything done in the first summer, and you know that January you might need to buy, why would you spend everything you've got in the summer and leave yourself with nothing in the January? What if two of your players get cruciate ligament injuries and you're third in the league and you need to buy? Oh, we can't, we've got nothing left. What if your star striker does an interview with Piers Morgan and leaves? Oh, we can't replace him, we've got nothing left. What sort of stupid football club leaves themselves in a situation where, in fact, what business altogether leaves themselves in a situation where they spend everything they've got before the year even starts? You think about, like, a business, yeah? They spend everything they can spend in month 1. And then in month 6, 4 of their vehicles break down, the pipes burst, you know, they need a new boiler, you know, oh, we can't, we spent all the money. You don't do that. You don't do that. Nobody does that. So I don't believe it. I don't believe United haven't got any money to spend in January, because if that was the case, it would be, you know, beyond contempt how poorly the club would be run. And I repeat what I said. Martinez, we spent 55 million on. Well, we shouldn't have spent 40. Anthony, we spent 85. We should have spent 55. So we've massively overspent on Anthony, as we know. Good player, but we did overspend. So yeah, you can't spend money like that and then say we haven't got money in January. Alex Park, thank you very much for the super chat there. Lordy says his tickets for the Burnley game have been cancelled. Yeah, just. I mean, if it might impact some of you, it's really unfortunate actually, and you can't really blame United for this. A bit of breaking news. It's just I won't be talking about it for very long because we'll move on to the ownership model now. And any questions you've got. Legend says any news with Delo? Nothing. Not heard anything. Have you seen the Benzema rumours? I'll talk about that in a minute. Bean as well. Thanks everyone for watching. By the way, make sure you smash a like. So basically, the Burnley game next Wednesday at Old Trafford, 75,000 capacity, they can only let just in over 60,000, and they're asking fans to voluntarily get a refund because obviously it's a sellout. It's a sellout because it's the first game since the World Cup, and everyone wants to see United before Christmas, so it's a sellout at Burnley next Wednesday, but they can only let 62,000 in instead of 75, so they need 10,000 people to give up their tickets. Why? Because the UK is gripped with strikes at the moment, and I think there are strikes around the ambulance drivers or something. So from a health and safety point of view, United cannot have a full capacity. So any news on Smutty? I haven't seen him come back yet. No. He's being bantered in our chats. But he's there. He knows he's been naughty. He's basically trying to start a debate about the background, which I just don't want tonight. But there's nothing United can do about that. It's a health and safety thing. It's exactly why the game against Leeds and Palace got called off as well, because obviously the Queen died and there wasn't enough policing resources to provide cover for a football match. So it had to be reduced a little bit. So, yeah, Benzema. I was just trying to think what I wanted to talk about next. Benzema. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about now, as long as it's not Christmas films, because we did that last night. Leo J says, Eric Ten Hag wants Gakpo. This needs to happen. If it doesn't, it's a disgrace. We can write off another season. We can't write off another season. It will affect the summer window, says Leo J. Exactly. On Benzema, I saw a story about it today. United linked with shock move for Benzema because he's out of contract in the summer. Well, that's not the same story we were talking about yesterday. There was a story yesterday about Benzema coming in January, which is complete and utter shite. Why would Benzema leave Real Madrid in January to come and play Europa League football? So in relation to Benzema joining United in January, flush it down the toilet with a turd. Flush it. It's a complete load of shit. Benzema to United in the summer, why would I give a shit about that now? Of course it could happen. I'm not going to sit here and say anybody saying that Benzema coming to United in the summer is a clown, get your big shoes on and your wig. No, of course it could. Anything can happen in the summer. We might be in the Champions League. Benzema might fancy it. But it's irrelevant news because we're not talking about the summer. We're about to embark on a very exciting and crucial 5 months. And we need a player in January. Benzema's not going to come in January. So my update on Benzema is maybe he will sign in the summer. Maybe we don't want to sign him in the summer. Maybe it would be a bad idea in the summer. Maybe it would be a good idea in the summer. But he ain't bloody signing in January, is he? Adam says, hi Mark, you should sing a song once a week. Maybe on Friday night show. It would be great. Goldbridge like a young Gary Barlow, says Adam. Remember when we had the Christmas party and we had all the music on? That was good. Somebody just asked a very relevant question about Benzema. How old would he be in the summer? So he's currently 34. He's going to be 35 in 4 days' time. So we would be buying a 35-and-a-half-year-old. Not ideal. And look, Ronaldo at 35-and-a-half still had another couple of years in him. Zlatan has been very, very good as well. But I'm a massive fan of Benzema, so I'm not going to say don't buy him at 35-and-a-half in the summer. But I don't think it's what... I do like Benzema, but I don't think it's what we should be doing in the summer. I don't. I think we should be looking at... Skullcrusher says you could take him for a year and he'd be on about 500k a week as well. Says doesn't. Yeah, I think we've done this, haven't we? We've done this with Ronaldo. We've done it with Cavani. We did it with Zlatan. I don't think we need to do it again. Did we win the league with Zlatan? Did we win the league with Cavani? Did we win the league with Ronaldo? No. Was it their fault? No. But do we need a different approach? Yes. I think we need to build a team to win the league. And you're never going to build a team with a player that's coming in for a year or two. So I wouldn't be looking at Benzema in the summer, but if we do it, we do it. But the most important thing for me is, why are we getting stories about Benzema coming out now? What is the point of that? Like, we're not signing him in January, so that's what I want to talk about, because we need someone in January, and that's what we need to do. Michael Doherty, who's a member, says 35 is pushing it a bit. We need a long-term option, not a player who will only last a season. And he's never played in the Premier League before as well. Let's not forget that. Doubt new owners will have the appetite for a player of his age, says Mason Reed. And yeah, we should buy young players for development, says Oleg. Harry Kane incoming, says Just Kevin. Well, I've said that before, haven't I? I mean, it's only a theory, but I do think that potentially Man United will go for Harry Kane in the summer. Who, look, Harry Kane will be 30. He'll be 30 in the summer. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Kane came to United, and I don't know what I think about that. All gone quiet on Ivan Toney, says Lee Berman. Yeah, well, because of... I mean, it's not been massive news, but I think everybody knows about it. But because So basically, Ivan Toney didn't go to the World Cup, and a lot of people, myself included, thought that was a shame. But then pretty much as soon as the World Cup, I think it was just before the World Cup actually, it was announced that he'd been charged in relation to a load of gambling charges. So it shouldn't preclude a decent footballer getting a move if he wants it, but I just don't think United will look at him now because of that. I might be wrong, but I just don't think United will look at it. Joe wants a badge. Well, you'll have to be a member. We gave out some before. We'll give out some more before Christmas, but I'm not going to do it twice in a day. Plugs a member. Hi, Mark. And I think Tony will go to Newcastle, says Threefold Path. Yeah, I mean, I think he will go somewhere, but my honest answer is I don't think United will look at it. If we wanted to spend 150 million plus on Bellingham, we might as well break the bank with new owners for Mbappe, says Jack. And we need Callum Wilson, 60 million, get it done, says DCL. Long way from new owners yet, unfortunately, says De Gea, 10 United fan. Well, yeah, thank you. You've just pulled me back into where a lot of people wanted to talk about. When's the next members video, School Crushers? Was there a new one yesterday? So check it out. And there's a new one next week as well. Any update on Phil Jones, says Andres? He's been injured since about March. Yeah, he's still a Man United player. Still earning 80 grand a week. That's about it. Jay Walsh got a membership this morning. Well done. And Suek says Joao Felix is a player that could be one of the players of this generation. I like Eric Ten Hag. Mark, top of the table, says Leo J. If you know, you know. Members know. Check the video out. But yeah, I think that I think Joao Felix would be a decent signing. We were interested in the summer. Let's wait and see. We don't have to spend any money to get Joao Felix. I believe you can do a loan deal until the summer. So, that's why I mentioned the financial fair play thing. Maybe that's what United will do. But I still don't think financial fair play really is an impact on us getting Cody Gakpo. If we want to get him, we can get him. What was that? What was that? Mark, any updates on getting a wing back? Oh, I thought you said something else, Job. Well, if we're struggling to spend money on a striker, we're not going to spend anything on a right back, are we? But yeah, I guess we'll see. But look, going back to the ownership, there was a comment there saying that it's going to be a long time before we get new owners. This is consistently being reported, and you can take it or leave it, but it's being consistently reported, and it's been consistently reported now for 3 weeks by numerous different outlets, whether it's The Athletic, Simon Stone in the BBC, the Manchester Evening News, so many different people with so many different contacts. And again, in the last 24 hours, the Rain Group, who are the group that are dealing with the sale, are looking at a deal to sell Manchester United for somewhere between 6 and 7 billion in the first quarter of 2023. That's not just one person's opinion. That is universally across loads of different outlets for the last 3 weeks. That United sale is looking to be done in the first quarter of 2023. Now, my personal opinion on this, and this is just opinion, we either have a sale already lined up, and all this noise is just noise about Amazon and Dubai and Sir Jim Radcliffe. They know who the sale is. It's an American investment fund, and it's been done for a while, and it will get done really quickly in the new year. That's either happening, or the second scenario is that the actual sale will be announced in March, but won't go through for a few months afterwards. So if you think about it, I don't know whether you've ever bought a house, or you know someone who's bought a house, or your parents have bought a house. When they go and look at a house and put an offer in, and it gets accepted, they get a phone call from the estate agent saying, your offer's been accepted, it's yours, we've took it off the market. So someone rings up about that house and they get told it's sold. You can't put an offer in, you can't look at it. But the actual sale doesn't go through for about 3, 4, 5 months. So I don't know whether that's what they mean. I mean, the way it's been worded is a little bit ambiguous. Sometimes you read it that we'll be under new ownership by April, and then sometimes you read it and they'll just announce who the owners are going to be in April, but it will take 4 or 5 months for it to go through. Ideally, we want new ownership, by New Year's Day. But what I don't want to happen is, April the 2nd, these people are buying United. We're now going through the legal process. Hopefully, have the deal done by October. Or we just missed the whole summer transfer window. We're fucked. We need that summer transfer window to be impactful. What would be your perfect transfer window in January? And are we going to get rid of any Deadwood in January, Mark? Love the work, says Jay. Thanks everyone who's tuning in, by the way. Really appreciate it. Get your questions in. I'm going to go turbo on the questions now. My ideal transfer window would be a right back and a striker. Off the top of my head, Gusto and Gakpo. GG. Yeah, that'd do me. As for getting rid of any Deadwood, Phil Jones will go in the summer. He's out of contract. Twan Sebi will go in the summer. He's out of contract. I believe Wan-Bissaka will... I'm 90% sure he'll go in January. He'll 100% be gone by the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Williams went in January on loan. And that's probably... Palestri, I think, will go as well on loan or on permanent. I know a lot of us want to see Palestri given a chance, but Ten Hag just hasn't used him, so I think he will move on. Maguire's not going to go anywhere in January. It's funny, I was listening to Talk Sport and Ali McCoist was on there, who I thought did really good commentary on the World Cup, by the way. And he was saying, I'm not going to say I think Harry Maguire is going to leave. I'm going to say he will leave. But that's just an opinion. Harry Maguire doesn't want to leave Manchester United. You know, I'm sure many of you want him to leave. I'm sure some people say, well, it's best if he leaves, but he doesn't want to leave. You know, he constantly talks about, you know, how he's good at psychology, and he believes in himself. And, you know, say what you like about Maguire, but I think he is driven to prove people wrong. I don't think he's thinking about leaving Manchester United yet. And, I mean, he's 30, isn't he, by the summer? So, I mean, realistically, he is the 3rd/4th choice centre-back for Manchester United. But if there's a long-term injury to Martinez or Varane, he might think, well, I've got my place back. If I was Harry Maguire, I'd be looking to go in the summer. I'd give it till the summer, look at what happens, and if I'm not established as the first-choice centre-back, 30 years of age, Euros is going to... You know, we're not even finished the World Cup. The Euros are going to be here in a year and a half. Like, next summer, you're going into a Euros year. So, if I was Maguire, if he wants to keep playing for England, I think he might want to leave in the summer. Dusan says he's off in the summer. But there's a few people like that. I mean, I don't want to make it the Harry Maguire show. Victor Lindelof might want to be going as well. Scott McTominay might want to go. Fred might want to go. There's a few players that if you're not starting regularly and you want to have a career, then, you know, you might go. I don't think Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Scott McTominay, Fred, you know, I don't think there's many people in that team that would do a Rojo or other players that we've had who will just sit there on a wage for a while and wait and see. I think you need to play. Simon says, look how long it took Chelsea to get their new owners, and they really rushed the process because all of Roman's assets had been frozen. This is going to be a long process for United, says Simon. Yeah, look, the sale of a club doesn't happen very quickly. I'll repeat what I said. Either we've got a sale done, and it will be done by March. And I think for it to be done by March, they need to know who they're selling to now, which they may or may not. Or they'll announce who the new owners are in March, but the new owners won't actually come in for another 4 or 5 months after that because of all the legal process. Hey says, if United are handcuffed by financial fair play, then perhaps going to Asia market like Korea or Japan for players to fill in for short term until United can fix their books, says Hey. Look, there's a lot of... you know, you look at Bayern Munich... you know, that there are ways to do bargains. Unfortunately, we don't do many bargains, do we? You can get Eriksen. Imagine, you know, we could get 5 Eriksens in the summer. We spent nothing. So there are ways to be clever in a transfer market. I mean, hello, Tielemans is available for about 15 million in January, and he's free in the summer. Lema's available for free in the summer. He's going to Bayern Munich. Surprise, surprise. So you can do good deals. Like, you can do good deals. Lafont, the goalkeeper, good goalkeeper. I think he'd be a good understudy battler for David De Gea. He's out of contract in the next 18 months. There are players that are good that are out of contract in the summer and in the next 18 months. you don't have to spend big on them, but can United compete for them? You know why United... I got told this about 6 months ago. You know why United spend so much money on transfers? Because it's the only way they can do transfers. They can only do transfers where no one else wants the player at the price United are willing to pay. And I know I've mentioned it before, but I got told that, and it's true. The reason we spend so much on transfers and wages is because no one else is willing to pay that price. But we will pay it because it's the only way we can get a deal done. We can't go and compete for a player that everyone else wants because we will lose. So what we do is we go for a player that people like but won't pay the price the club is asking for because they think it's stupid. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 50 million quid. No one else is willing to pay that. Harry Maguire, 80 million quid. No one else is willing to pay that. Jadon Sancho, 75 million quid. No one else is willing to pay that. Bruno Fernandes, 60. No one was willing to pay that. Anthony, 85. No one's willing to pay that. Doesn't mean any of them players are bad players, but that's the sort of deal United does, where you overpay and no one else will pay it. And that's why we don't do many Eriksen deals. We don't do many good value deals because if it, good value deals, there's competition and we're not great at that. There is a report I've just been told about here from Corriere dello Sport that Manchester United are going to make a serious attempt to sign Juventus striker Vlahovic in January. I've just been drawn attention to that. As somebody that's followed Italian football for 22 years, I will tell you now that there are no Italian outlets that I would believe. I wouldn't, sorry. If that's coming from United's interest in Vlahovic, if it's coming from Romano, let's talk. But unfortunately, I'm not going to believe anything from Corriere dello Sport or Calcio Mercato or any other Italian outlet, because especially over the last few years, they're very rarely accurate, and I don't know why that is, but they're not. And Vlahovic would cost money. I know Juventus are in trouble, but again, it's sort of very well timed. Juventus desperately need to sell Vlahovic in January to break even, right? Imagine that scenario. United walk in and go, we'll give you 30 million. Well, so did Chelsea. They'll go 40. He's worth about 80 million. There'll be 6 or 7 clubs that will go up to 40, 50 million to get him. And then United will go, we're out. Any US players, I've just literally told that story. We're not going to stroll into Turin. Well, Murta's done it before. And go, show me the money, we're going to do the deal. There'll be other clubs looking at Vlahovic. And we'll lose. Any US players you see play for United, and what about Ward-Prowse from Southampton? I don't want Ward-Prowse, Forza. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a Man United player. And in relation to the United States, I've said it before, I do like Tyler Adams, I do like Muzza, and they'd be the probably 2 I would consider. Would you? I forgot about that. I wasn't intending to talk about that, but Murta and Arnold went to Spain, got photoed in Spain and got nothing, and then Murta flew to Turin and got nothing, didn't he? I don't want Rabiot, RJ. No. He's had a good World Cup, but I don't buy players on a good World Cup. Tyreek says Gravenberch has not had a look in at Bayern. Do you think that's a deal to be made? Look, I don't for 1 minute think that Gravenberch will end up being a Manchester United player, but I will say this: I do think Gravenberch is a really good player, and the Bayern Munich move hasn't worked. You could look at it like Donny to United. Just because you're good at Ajax doesn't mean you travel. And maybe Gravenberch isn't going to be a good player, but I would have been over the moon if United had brought him. And I don't know why it's not working at Bayern. Maybe it will work at Bayern. Maybe it will just take a bit of time. And they've got some good midfielders, haven't they? But I think he's a good player. I think if Ten Hag is eager to buy a certain player, you should take note of that player because his signings have been good this far, says Louis. And do you think Noah Beck is a better footballer than Elanga, says Nacho? Well, I don't know about that. Isabella Cutie, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Oh, just a reminder, I've been told to tell you about this. If you're in the UK, you will still get these delivered before Christmas. The link is in the video description, or you can go to United Stand Shopify. So this is our knitted Christmas jumper, absolute cracker. And we still have got a few left in extra large, small, and I'm told, you have to check the website, I'm told there is a handful in large that have been released, having orders been cancelled or something like that. So check it out. Still available in the UK, and you'll still get it before Christmas. And that's a collector's item because it's knitted as well. So check it out. Link in the description. Get in quick though, because when they're gone, they're gone. Bellingham needs find a position soon for France. Lot time his teammates couldn't find him off the cuff. 2 minutes. Okay, De Gea 10. Yeah, I think Bellingham is a good player, but he won't become United. And Thomas says, apologies if you've already spoken about it. I've just joined. What are your thoughts on what's happening with Sancho? I truly believe there's an amazing player there, and I hope it works out for him, says Thomas. Yeah, we haven't spoken about it tonight, so it's a good question. But look, I'm not about to sit here and send a message to Jadon Sancho. I think that's very cheesy. I think professional sport is not about sympathy. Professional sport is about mentality, dedication, and mindset, which is also mentality. And as I said yesterday, Jadon Sancho has the support of the Manchester United fan base. And at the moment, he retains the support and patience of the Manchester United fan base. With any signing, there is a line that gets crossed where people start to go, no. Look at Donny van der Beek. He's had a lot of support. Free Donny on Twitter, he's had a lot of support. And I think over the last 3 months, most of that support's gone. I look at a lot of people on the live chat, on a watch along. I look at a lot of people on social media. And I can see some of those people were Donny fans, and they're now get rid of him. The patience has gone. Donny has crossed that line of patience and, backing. I still hope Donny can turn it around, but I would say he's got about a 15% chance out of 100 now. It's probably not going to work out. Jadon Sancho's not at that point. Jadon Sancho still retains the major support and patience of this fan base. And that is something that he should be positive about, and then work on himself so that when he does come back, he knows he's got that confidence and patience and support from the fan base to work with. I think in a year's time, if we have another year like the last year, he'll cross the line like Donny. It can't be there forever. No matter what the circumstances off the pitch, you are a paid professional footballer, and at some point the line will be crossed, and it will be sight, and people will start saying it's time for him to go. But we're not at that point, and the solution is in Jadon Sancho's feet and head, isn't it? It's about, can he get back, fit, and raring to go for Manchester United? Because consistency is the key. We're not looking for 1 or 2 good performances from Jadon Sancho and then he disappears for 10 games, in relation to performance. We need consistency. We need it from Marcus Rashford. We need it from Anthony. We need it from Bruno. We need it from Sancho. We need it from everybody. We need consistency. And, as I say, when it comes to Jadon Sancho, there's not a lot more to say, is there? The jury is still out, but he retains the support of the fan base, and that is a positive for him. It really is. What is great about this United side at the moment, and great is not a word that we've used very often around Manchester United in the last few years, but what is great about Manchester United at the moment, and it's a minority great, is people like Varane and Casemiro have brought a consistency and world-classness that everyone else should be looking at and going, that's the level. Varane has been a bit in and out with injury, but when he's played, especially this season, he's been predominantly world-class. He's been brilliant in the World Cup, by the way. And Casemiro, also brilliant in the World Club, has predominantly been world-class and consistent in a United shirt. We've not had that at United. And Eriksen to a certain point of view. Eriksen has been very, very consistently good as well. So it's not hard. I felt sorry for United players over the last few years because I was like, who is the player that they're meant to look at? I mean, De Gea's done it, but he's a goalkeeper. Who is the outfield player over the last few years that United players can go, That's the level. You can look at De Bruyne, you can look at Liverpool players, but they're not United players. Ronaldo last year was very consistent, but he's gone now. But if you are a current United player, whether you're a right back, left back, centre back, forward, look at Casemiro and look at Varane, because they're two people that have won many Champions Leagues and are still doing it consistently at the highest level. And both of them had fantastic. Well, Varane's still in the World Cup. Casemiro was fantastic in the World Cup, and Varane. I tweeted this last night, only because he's not English. I mean, you know, we've heard about how great John Stones has been and how great Harry Maguire's been. Well, Varane's shit all over them. I mean, he has been unbelievable. I think at times France have looked vulnerable, but it's not Varane. You know, Hernandez at times, Upamecano at times. I thought Konate played well last night with Varane. Koundé at times. But Varane's been brilliant and undermentioned, which is why I always get pissed off with media reporting in the UK, because if you haven't got an English passport, you don't get mentioned. And Varane plays in the Premier League, and he plays for Manchester United. And I've seen very few articles about how good Varane is. In fact, I've seen more articles about Martinez, who I think is fantastic, but hasn't started for Argentina. Varane is a stalwart of that French side and has hardly been mentioned, apart from you and me. And he's been fantastic. You think if Sancho gets better, he'll be used more while Rashford goes up front? Could be a possibility. And hope you well, says Reflex JB. I think it's, you know what, I'm not going to avoid opinion because that's what it's all about. My feeling is with Jadon Sancho that this is going to be a long road back. I don't feel like he's going to roll up against Forest after Christmas and just, boom, let's go. I'd love that to happen, but I don't get the feeling that's what's going on. And everyone can talk about the truth about Jadon Sancho, what's really happening with Jadon Sancho. I could do a video if that I wanted to, because he's just pulling it out your arse. The fact is, there is an issue, and I think it's an accumulation of things that's caused it. As I said yesterday, I think Jadon Sancho is very disappointed that he didn't go to the World Cup. I think he's very disappointed about losing his place in the United team this year. I think he's very disappointed about how his career at United has gone so far. And I think he's doubting himself. And I think he's obviously being managed very well by the club and Erik ten Hag. And, they're trying to give him the support that he needs. But I don't feel that... I think the problem is so significant that he didn't go to the World Cup. He didn't play before the World Cup for United. And then the players that don't go to the World Cup go to Spain and he doesn't. And then he's not going to be back for the Burnley game next week when players who went to the World Cup will be back. I think that's a big indicator that there's a very significant issue here, and not in the sense that it's serious and he's never going to be able to play football again, but it's significant. And what I mean by that is that it's not just going to be like a light switch and he's back. I think it might be a process to get him back, because it's obviously a very significant problem that's taken him away. So I think it's going to have to be, it might be one step forward, one step back for a bit with Sancho. And we're going to have to be patient. And I think the worst thing we can be is when he comes back, not be patient, because there is clearly some issues there that the club and Jadon are trying to resolve. And of course, when you bring it back to the transfer window, we needed a striker, and people forget this. Duzan says, drinking Stella and enjoying the show as per. Cheers, Mark, and everyone can't wait for the Burnley game. Duzan, I'm with you at the moment. I'm normally like this the week after Christmas, but it's the week before Christmas at the moment. I've had a drink every night. What about Mitrovic from Fulham? Defo suits, Ten Hag ball, wouldn't cost a fortune either. Not going to happen. We're not going to get Mitrovic in January. Again, it's like doing a video on Benzema. Like, we're not getting Mitrovic in January, so why are we talking about it? Let's go and get Mitrovic. Okay, let's go and get somebody. Let's get Callum Wilson from Newcastle. Yeah, let's go and get Callum Wilson. Yeah, that's a good one. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen in January, is it? So why talk about it? We need a striker in January. Respect to you, your team, and this community, Mark. Mental health is a massive challenge in society, and you've created a tonic for many, says Brian. Thank you very much. Who's winning, United or Burnley, says Andres? I think it will be a good game. Burnley are playing very, very well at the moment. They really are. But look, in relation to January, there was something I wanted to just talk about with Sancho there. So my stance in the summer was that even with Ronaldo, Rashford, Sancho, Martial, Alanga, we still needed a striker because Cavani wasn't replaced. Antony didn't replace Cavani. Antony provided us with a left-footed winger. We didn't replace Cavani in the summer. Well, people say, well, Martial came back. Martial was here at the start of last year. Ollie loaned him out. I mean, Man United loaned him out. Rangnick loaned him out, whatever. Well, Rangnick didn't loan him out. He didn't want him to go. United loaned him out. We didn't replace Cavani in the summer. We needed a striker. Ronaldo's left. We now need 2 strikers. There's an issue around Sancho. We're now 3 down. And that's what I mean about the Sancho issue. Maybe he comes back after Christmas and he's available every week. Maybe he doesn't come back for a while. Maybe he comes back after Christmas and then he's, gradually fed back in. We didn't replace Cavani. We need to replace Ronaldo. And Sancho is potentially another problem as well. And can I just say on that one, Erik ten Hag, has anybody, I mean, somebody will have had, but what a ridiculously hard start to your managerial career at Manchester United. I mean, it's already going to be one of the hardest jobs in football to take over Manchester United in the situation they were after their worst ever Premier League season. It was already going to be a very difficult season. He's then had all the Ronaldo issues, and obviously the summer pantomime of Arnautovic and Rabiot, and then suddenly finding 150 million quid under the bed to go and get Antony and Casemiro. Now he's got the Jadon Sancho thing as well. So he's had a lot to get on with, Erik ten Hag. A lot of challenges. And I think he comes out of it really, really well. He always speaks really well. And, somebody just said it there, he should have walked. I wouldn't have walked. Would you walk? I think he wants to give this job the best he can. And the thing that impresses me about Erik ten Hag is I always feel, and it's weird, but I always feel that as motivated as we are as fans and as high as we put the standards as fans, I think he's there as well. I think he has that same motivation and he has the same standards and he wants to succeed. And I've not seen that in a manager at United since Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm not saying that Mourinho and Moyes and Van Gaal and Solskjaer didn't want to succeed, but the way that Ten Hag talks and the things you hear from people who work with him, he has this obsession and, he wants to win every game. There is never a game where it's like, he wants to win every game. How much would that 99 dude over there cost, says Rory C. He's retired. He's priceless, he is. Smutty's back and says, can't sack the manager this time. We have to go the full Monty. Yeah, we have to spend in January. Not giving in on the lad, but Sancho should have been better. I'm getting to that point, says Vag. Well, I'm not. I think let's give him some time and see what happens. And Danny puts it perfectly. It's nice to feel the same drive for success in our manager. Well, the great thing about Sir Alex Ferguson, and remember for me, when Sir Alex Ferguson took over Manchester United, I was tiny. I was a kid, and then from a kid to a teenager to a young man to an adult, really, that was my, Sir Alex Ferguson was like a father figure for most people who did that. And a lot of my traits competitively are similar to Sir Alex Ferguson, even though I've never met the guy, because, how aggressive he was, how petulant he was, how driven he was. And, hopefully there are kids, teenagers, young men who support Man United now who are about to go on that same journey I and many others went with Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, it's a big ask. It's a very big ask, but he does have that. I mean, he doesn't have the personality of Sir Alex. He's not going to be, bawling out referees and shouting about stuff. I don't think that's Erik ten Hag's style. But he is driven, and he does put his message out there publicly about what he expects. And, it's been an encouraging start. It could all go to rat shit. Of course it could. I'm not naive enough to say that there is a cycle at United and it's 3 years, but there are encouraging signs, and he is ridiculously driven, and it's great to see that evidence of that. I hope Sancho gets his confidence back. He's still a club fad player for United. Also, hopefully we can get a striker and a midfielder, so spooky. Midfielder, centre-back won't happen till the summer if it's going to happen. Right back might not happen in January. Striker might not happen, but they're the two I think we're looking at. Eric Ten Hag could bring back the better days but needs backing, says Leo. Look, Eric Ten Hag said it himself. You've got to invest now. You've got to have a strategy to invest in the team over the next few years if you want to be successful. You can't just get a new manager and go, let's compete with Man City, who's been investing well for a decade and has got the best manager in the world. Let's compete with Liverpool, who've done the same. Let's compete with everyone else who's investing more. You can't just do it just because you've got a good manager. You need the whole thing. I often think that football's a bit like a Formula 1 car now. You can get the best driver, but if you haven't got the car, look at Alonso. He can't win the championship. Vettel couldn't win the championship. You know, they're very good racers, but they can't win the championship because they're not in a car that can win the championship. Lewis Hamilton can win the championship. Verstappen can win the championship, but Alonso and Vettel couldn't because their cars weren't as good as those because they didn't have the investment and the structure and everything like that. So Ten Hag at the moment could be driving a car that just can't win the championship. You've got to invest in the car. We've got the driver, let's invest in the car. Simple as that. I tell you what, Mark's got Jaws in the background. I got that for Christmas last year. I've played it twice. Board games aren't really the thing for people, I know, but that game as a board game is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Takes you about 20 minutes to understand the rules, but if you get 3 or 4 people who like the film, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant game. I'll be playing it at Christmas. I said about these mod before, some need investigating because they mute people all the time. Says 12 Days of Cantona. Don't accept the mods. They do a great job. Flavio says it's a great game. I also have it. It is a good game. It is a good game. Let's play Jaws on Twitch, says Leo J. Monopoly Smutty is a brilliant game. I love it. Anyway, we're going off track. And we've gone over the limit, but I wanted to do an hour show because I was late, which is what we've done. Thanks everyone for watching. We're back tomorrow. It's Friday tomorrow. Did you know that we're now 5 days away from Man United playing a game of football? It's amazing, isn't it? I know the World Cup final's on Sunday afternoon, but it's Wednesday night and we're back. And then that's it. We're back. I can't believe it. Thank you for being a member for 12 months, by the way, Marcus. If you watched the show this morning, I gifted 20 memberships, and a few other people. You can gift memberships if you're a member, by the way, but and a few people did that this morning. So thank you very much for those. I was surprised about that. If you are a member, don't forget to get your badge next to your name, like Paps and School Crushers and Renate and Smutty. And you can also... Actually, Smutty's not a member. Sally Devered 7 is. You get extra content. The quiz went up yesterday. You can check that out. And we've got lots of stuff coming up for the members as well. Got some exciting stuff coming up in the new year as well. Very exciting. Thank you very much for watching. I'll take care. Hope you take care. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.